All right. I think we're finally live. Are we actually finally live? Let's see. Let's see. Let me go to the channel and let's see if we're actually finally live. All right. Now, uh I was trying to be a little fancy. I was gonna show you because I downloaded a few softwares. I was trying to be a little fancy, but I was having some technical issues because I'm an absolute noob when it comes to setting these things up. Like I don't know what the hell to do. I'm a complete noob, so I still gotta like educate myself and do research on how to set up a live stream and stuff. So I just decided to just go this route, the freaking live events route, whatever, because that's what I was always doing. So, and it works. By the way, have you heard that YouTube's gonna get rid of live events? So once they get rid of this, in like I think the end of next month, I'm gonna have to figure out how to use the how to stream with OBS or maybe Streamlabs or one of those softwares because this won't be available for that much longer. By the way, have you guys heard? I was on like this website and it says that Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz Jr. is getting closer and closer and closer and closer. Okay, closer and closer. And I'm going to be quoting some of the things that Deontay Wilder said. Anything is possible in boxing. We'll see what happens with the rematches. I'd love to unify all the belts. It's coming down to it. It's getting closer and closer to a unification with Andy Ruiz Jr. I think that's what the heavyweight division is missing. We need one champion, one face, one name, and that face is Deontay Wilder. I can't wait for that to happen. I'm the right guy for the job. I'm not going to be in this game long. I want to unify the division and defend my titles a few times. What? So Deontay Wilder's giving some he's giving some a little some subliminal messages there, basically saying that he's going to be retiring, I guess. I'm going to keep quoting this man. But I don't know how many times in that field it would be, but it's not going to be a real long run for me. I just don't think so. I'm going to retire right. I came into the game right. I'm in the right position right now, and I'm going to retire right. I want the people to appreciate me right now while I'm still in this sport. That's because I know they are going to. When I leave, I just want you all to do it now because I'm not here long. What? Deontay Wilder's going to retire soon. Holy cow! Well, it makes sense. I mean, he's not necessarily that young anymore, and he's been a pro for about 11 years. By the way, can anyone hear me? Is anyone even in my goddamn live stream? Just want to know if you guys can even hear me, and if I'm even live, because I don't even know. I do see that the mic's picking it up. This little article right here, Deontay Wilder says that he's going to retire soon. And once he becomes unified champion, he doesn't see himself having a long run. So he's not going to do like a Vladimir Klitschko and have like a 9-year run. And he wants to retire soon. So, and funny enough, I made a video a long time ago saying that Deontay Wilder is going to retire soon. Because he's one of those fighters that depends on his athleticism. And when it comes to fighters as they get older, once that starts to deter, like he uses his athleticism to like get away from his opponents and stuff as a form of defense. So once that starts disappearing, once that starts fading and he starts slowing down, it's going to be easier for his opponents to get to him. So I actually think that this is a good thing that Deontay Wilder is going to retire young. I always advise, well, I think it's good for a fighter to retire young. I don't think fighters should be fighting in their 40s because fighters start slowing down when they're like in their 30s. That's when you start seeing decline. Some of them decline even earlier, especially dudes who like they're in wars like early on in their careers, like when they're in their early 20s. By the time they're 30, they're shot. So Wilder's 33 and he's claiming he's not going to be fighting for that much longer. And I'm actually happy about that because nobody wants to see a fighter, decline and be losing the guys he's not supposed to be losing to. Richard Smith, hell yeah, we're here. Well, at least somebody's here. There's four other people here, Richard Smith, but they're not talking though. I guess they're shy. I guess they're like they call those lurkers in Twitch. They're watching, but they're too shy to speak. Um, Deontay Wilder's going to retire soon, and he's eyeing to become unified champion, undisputed champion before he retires. This is his perfect opportunity to do it because right now Andy Ruiz Jr. is the unified champion. Although every time I see Andy Ruiz Jr. in some type of like interview or like out in the press or just walking around or some freaking video pops up of him, he's always just carrying one belt. He's always carrying one belt, but he won like 3 belts from AJ, actually 4. He won 4 belts from AJ, but he's only walking around with one. I don't understand that. He should be proudly, walking around with all 4 belts, but maybe he just doesn't feel like carrying them all, Maybe it's too much weight for him to carry around. But he's with the PBC, so hopefully Deontay Wilder could get his opportunity to face Andy Ruiz Jr., and I think that's a great fight. But the thing is, Andy Ruiz Jr. could lose. Now, the only way this could happen would be if Andy Ruiz Jr. beats Anthony Joshua in the rematch, but he could lose. That's not a foregone conclusion. He might get knocked out. Who knows? And the thing is, I wonder what happens if he does get knocked out. Would there be a rematch clause? Like, say Anthony Joshua knocks out Andy Ruiz Jr., but he puts in like the contract, listen, bro, if you beat me, you got to instantaneously defend your unified belts against me. So let's say AJ beats Andy Ruiz Jr., but then he immediately has a rematch and then they have a trilogy. But then again, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they'll have a trilogy because there's a bunch of mandatories that they got to face, right? There's a bunch of mandatories. So I don't know if they're going to allow that to happen. Best of the best. So now we all know that Wilder never had 2 fights booked before Joshua versus Ruiz fight took place. Wilder must have thought Joshua was going to win. Yeah, a lot of people were telling me that too, best of the best. They were saying that Wilder just made up the fact that he was going to fight Andy Ruiz. The fact that he was going to fight Luis Ortiz. And what's his name? Tyson Fury in 2 back-to-back rematches, because as soon as he beat Dominic Brazil, he came out on Twitter and he said he's gonna have 2 back-to-back rematches with the 2 dudes that gave him tough fights, basically, which was Luis Ortiz and obviously Tyson Fury. And I remember I made a video being a little upset about that. I was like, why is he not waiting for Anthony Joshua to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. and then he fights the winner? And I didn't like that he just announced, Ruiz, fighting. He was going to fight 2 back-to-back rematches. But people were saying he did that he used that as an excuse, as like a smoke screen, as an excuse to duck Anthony Joshua, which is possible. I don't know. But now we're going to have to wait and see what happens if Andy Ruiz fights Anthony Joshua, which is going to happen in a long, long time from now. And I'm surprised Deontay Wilder has still not announced his fight with Luis Ortiz. He announced nearly 2 months ago he was going to fight him. I've heard say he might fight him after Ortiz might. But he's only going to get to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. if he beats Anthony Joshua. And I don't know how much of a foregone conclusion that is. I'm picking Andy Ruiz Jr. to beat Anthony Joshua, but I don't know if but again, doesn't mean he's gonna do it. He could lose. So if Ruiz loses and Joshua wins his belts back, I guess we go back to square one with no Wilder versus Joshua. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Best fight the best. Joshua, I mean, when it comes to Deontay Wilder, I'll tell you this about him. The 2 people that, in my opinion, he seems the most unlikely to want to fight immediately is AJ and Dillian White. That's it. I think he fights. I think he has no problem fighting with anybody else. But those 2 guys always seem to have is always a problem. There's always some type of stipulation that we always have to wait and wait and wait. So if Andy Ruiz Jr. were to lose to Anthony Joshua, and then once Anthony Joshua has the belts again, that's true. We're back to square one. We're gonna have to wait and see if these 2 will ever fight, but it's not gonna happen. That's what I'm saying. The only way we'll actually get an undisputed champion at heavyweight would be if Andy Ruiz actually beats Anthony Joshua in the rematch. Then they could try to make the unify. Then they could make the Ruiz versus Wilder fight uh, for undisputed PBC in-house fight, which is a good fight, by the way. But that it's not like that would happen right away either, because Andy Ruiz, I believe they made what's his name, Alexander Usyk, the mandatory for the belts for Andy Ruiz belt. I think the WBO IBF strap. And then he also has Karepov. Like right now, Andy Ruiz has so many mandatories he has to take care of. Right, he has so many mandatories that he has to fight in order to keep holding on to his belts. So even if Andy Ruiz beats Anthony Joshua, he still needs to take care of his mandatories, unless I guess they paid them step aside money for them to have like that big unification fight. But I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. Uh, who you got, Ruiz or Wilder? I got Wilder. I think he knocks out Ruiz. I think he knocks him out. But it'll be interesting to see if Andy Ruiz Jr. could get on the inside against Wilder, because since he's so short, he's gonna have to always get on the inside, no matter who he fights. No matter who he fights, he has to get on the inside and attempt to connect. He managed to get on the inside against Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua was right in the pocket with him, trading with him, like they were trading hooks with each other. And when you do that against a guy who's supposed to be on the inside against you, that's what that dude wants. So that was AJ. AJ made a mistake by doing that, and he paid the price. Will Wilder do that? Will Wilder fight him toe to toe? I doubt it. I think Wilder would be more of a. I think Wilder would be. Wilder probably saw that, and he's probably learned some lessons there, and he's like, you know what, I'm a lot taller, a lot longer. Let me keep it long range. I think if Wilder connects with anybody he fights, he KOs them, including Anthony Joshua, including Dillian White, including Andy Ruiz Jr. And I'm picking Wilder to beat him. The only guy, I'm gonna be honest with you right now, the only guy I really see beating right now in Deontay Wilder is actually Tyson Fury. And that's because I saw Tyson Fury give Deontay Wilder a boxing lesson. So as long as Tyson Fury is still Tyson Fury, and as long as he doesn't get hit with a Wilder right hand, I see him beating him. So that's really the only guy right now, at least the only known guys at heavyweight that I see beating Wilder. Like Ali never beat Norton. Ali called Foreman and beat for him. Oh yeah, a lot of people say that Ali got a gift decision against Norton. They fought like 3 times, I believe, and they say like he got a gift decision against him. I think he lost once against him, and then he beat him twice, I believe. I don't know. It's been a long time since I did research on that, but I remember like I did some research on that years ago, and they were like saying that Ali got a gift decision the other 2 times. Norton actually beat him. Can Norton actually beat him all 3 times? I don't know. It's been a while since I did research on that. I got Wilder beating Dillian White, Anthony Joshua, and Andy Ruiz, but I got him losing against Tyson Fury. That's what I keep saying. I think the toughest fight for him is Tyson Fury, even though people are saying no, it's you know what Dillian White. People have this thing where they act like Deontay Wilder would lose to Dillian White. Maybe he would, but I personally just don't think he would. Ali was the cash cow. I know he was definitely the most known heavyweight out of all of them. Muhammad Ali. Was he the cash cow? I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. He definitely wasn't the scariest, though. I think George Foreman was the scariest back then. Or at least it looked like he was perceived as the scariest one because of his like knockout power. Let me see what else is happening here in the world of boxing. Because I'm like way too even lazy to make videos. I don't even think I want to make videos anymore. I think I'm just going to be live streaming my opinion on stuff. Deontay representing. Floyd made the most money ever. Who? Floyd Mayweather Jr. Yeah, Floyd Mayweather Jr. was a genius when it came to making people hate him. Like people hated Floyd Mayweather Jr. and they hated him because of the things he said. And what he used to do is he used to piss off the fan base of the opponents that he was fighting, and then they would only watch him to in hopes that he lost. And if you notice, he fought a lot of Mexican fighters, fought a lot of Latino fighters, and he fought them all in holidays of like Mexican holidays. Like I know Cinco de Mayo around May, stuff like that, around September, which are like both months where the Mexican people celebrate some type of like something. I think one of them is Cinco de Mayo, something, and then there's something else. But that's why he made so much money, and he was really a genius. Because when you saw Floyd when he was young, Floyd was never a trash talker. Floyd, if you ever looked at any of his early interviews, he was always very humble, very nice. When he was just like Pretty Boy Floyd, when he used to call himself that. But as he moved up in weight divisions, he started to, and then as he started fighting on pay per view, that's when he started changing his like alter ego. Like when he fought Arturo Gatti, that was the first time you saw Floyd Mayweather Jr. basically be the bad guy, be the villain. And I believe that fight happened in New Jersey and the home town of Arturo Gatti, rest in peace, Arturo Gatti. And that was a pay per view fight. And that was the first time you saw Mayweather basically turn into money made, the cash cow, whatever. Uh, and he basically stayed with that persona ever since the Arturo Gatti fight. And he became like the villain, the guy everybody loves to hate. And but it worked out perfectly for him because he made a lot of money, didn't he? All right. Ali is still the GOAT to this day, though. Norton couldn't assess. Yeah, Ali's always going to be the GOAT. I think everybody would always look at Ali as a GOAT. It's kind of like Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson turned pro like 90 years ago or some shit. People still talk about that guy. Joe Louis. People still talk about Joe Louis. This dude's been retired for 69 years or some shit. Hearn wants Usyk to challenge Joshua versus Ruiz winner. What do you guys think of Andy Ruiz versus Alexander Usyk? They're both like the same size. What is this? Taunt Anthony Joshua with robot emoji. You are 100% correct about Floyd, bro. It was how he did what he did. Never undisputed is no division and ducked many guys, but I still respect Money Man. Yeah, I think one of the guys that he ducked was Paul Williams. I wish he would have fought Paul Williams because during that time, Paul Williams was calling him out like crazy. And this was back in 2007, 2008. Paul Williams was calling him a lot. But Mayweather was always about the money. And like the year 2007, the year 2007, right? In that year, 2007, the guys at welterweight, he was fighting as a welterweight back then. The three top guys besides Mayweather was Paul Williams, Antonio Margarito, you remember that guy, and Miguel Cotto. Those three dudes. And I remember back then, everybody wanted to see Mayweather fight either Antonio Margarito, Miguel Cotto, Paul Williams, because at that time they were all in their primes. But then what they Mayweather choose to do, he chose to fight the money. He chose to go the money route. He fought Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya was obviously the cash cow. Then he fought Ricky Hatton, who was also a really big deal in the UK back then. So instead of fighting Antonio Margarito, Miguel Cotto, or Paul Williams, Paul the Punisher Williams, he chose to fight the money dudes. Oscar De La Hoya, who was obviously the most popular Mexican American fighter back then, and he was basically the Canelo of today, of back then. And then he also fought Ricky Hatton, who was a big deal, who was a smaller guy. So yes, I do think he ducked those three guys. Not saying he would have lost to them. I actually would have picked Floyd to beat all of them, but I'm saying he could have fought them. He could have fought them back then, but he chose to fight the money guys. And like when it comes to me, like I think Mayweather's schooling of Saul Canelo Alvarez looks better every single freaking year because Saul Canelo Alvarez is like one of the best fighters in the world. And I remember when Mayweather beat him, when he beat him, I think it was 2013 or something. September 2013. Yes, I was in a casino. I remember watching that in a casino. I remember when he beat Saul Canelo Alvarez. A lot of people didn't give Floyd credit for that, and he schooled him. He schooled Saul Canelo Alvarez. They didn't give him credit for that. They were basically saying that Canelo was basically weight drained and Canelo was inexperienced. That's what they were saying. And who had Canelo beaten? I remember that. Who had Canelo beaten? So, but as the years gone on, and Mayweather, as the years have gone on, it's just showed you how good Saul Canelo Alvarez is and how good Mayweather is. That he was able to do that to Canelo Alvarez. Talk to me, fanboy. All right, let me see what this guy Sammy had to say. Duck. That's not how you spell his name. It's Deontay. Deontay Wilder fanboy, please try to be fair in your videos. My problem with you is that you always defend and cover up Wilder as if he is spotless in the current weight division. What are you talking about? I'm not a fanboy of no fighter. I could give a fuck about Anthony Joshua. I could give a fuck about Deontay Wilder. I could give a fuck about Andy Ruiz Jr. I don't care about none of those dudes because they don't pay my rent. They don't give me no money. They don't put food on my table. They don't give me shit. I don't care about none of them. I just make videos telling you how I feel about the fighter, my opinion. That's it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm no fanboy of no freaking fighter. And trust me, you could go back and look at my past videos. I've made plenty of videos criticizing Deontay Wilder. I just don't feel that I need to be criticizing him all the time. Just like I've made plenty of videos defending him. Also, with same thing with Joshua. I've criticized Joshua. I've defended Joshua. That's it. So I don't know what you're talking about. I wanted to do some research here. What? Anthony Joshua issued a warning. Ruiz Jr. Please. Okay. Come on, go back. And even at 130, after winning his first belt from Gennaro, he wouldn't unify with Acilius Freitas or Casio Mayor, another belt holder. Casio Mayor, I remember that dude. He's that Cuban dude, right? I remember back in the day, he was supposed to be something, a problem. I remember Casio Mayor or something like that. I can't pronounce people's names. I'm sorry. But I remember that. The only true fighter that really fought everyone in his division and his division who he was supposed to fight and no one could be like, oh, he took this dude cuz was really Muhammad Ali. That's why I respected Ali. He literally fought every single heavyweight that mattered, even the dudes that didn't matter. You can't say that Ali did not fight everyone. During the 60s, he fought Floyd Patterson, Archie Moore, Sonny Liston. He basically fought everyone that mattered back then, right? That mattered. During the 70s, he fought everyone that mattered in their prime. Joe Frazier was in his prime. He mattered. He was the number one dude. What's his name? Ken Norton was in his prime. He mattered. He was a top heavyweight. He fought Joe Foreman, who was in his prime, champion. He mattered. Even guys like Ernie Shavers. These are guys that weren't the best guys in the division, but they were basically right up there with the best guys like Ron Lyle, Ernie Shavers. He fought everyone. That's one thing I'll say about Ali. If you actually look at his resume and look at the people who were fighting in his era, you can't say that he did not fight everyone. He literally fought everyone, even when he was way past his prime. When he fought what's his name? He even fought into the 80s, man. He fought Larry Holmes. He fought a prime Larry Holmes. He fought a prime what's his name? Trevor Berbick. He had no business fighting these dudes because by then he was shot to bits. Ali was shot to bits by 1980, but he even fought dudes in the 1980s, man. So that's one thing I always respected about Ali was he fought everyone in their primes And you can't say he ducked anyone. You can't. There are several fighters out there that you could literally sit here and be like, well, this guy ducked him. He ducked him though, bro. He didn't fight this guy. There's a bunch of dudes you could say that about. Uh, a bunch of retired dudes. I mean, I remember Joe Calzaghe. Listen, Joe Calzaghe is looked at in the UK as, this all-time great because he retired unbeaten. I remember they were comparing him to, what's his name? Rocky Marciano. Oh, Joe Louis, the super middleweight. He's one of the best because he retired unbeaten. The problem is Joe Louis. The problem is Joe Calzaghe spent his entire freaking career in the UK. All right. And people want to give him credit for fighting Roy Jones. He didn't fight a prime Roy Jones. He didn't fight, Joe Calzaghe became a champion. I believe he became the WBC super middleweight champion back in 97. Okay. Back then, Roy Jones Jr. Was in his prime, right? He stayed his entire career fighting in the UK, fighting not the best of the best guys. And then finally, at the end of his career, he came over and fought a shot to bits Roy Jones Jr. People give him credit for beating Roy Jones. I'm sorry. I hate to say this to you, but Roy Jones Jr. was shot to bits when he fought Joe Calzaghe. I do give him credit for beating Bernard Hopkins, though, because Bernard Hopkins, even though he was old as hell, he was still beating dudes up. Ali fought them all, bro. I done my homework. I wasn't around, but I done my homework. Ali fought. Yeah, me too. I wasn't around either. I wasn't around either, but I did my homework. When I first got into boxing, I did so much research on all the fighters that not only just research on the computer, on Wikipedia, but just watching all the fights. I used to watch all their fights. Because when you get into something, you want to do so much research on it because you want to learn about it so much. And that's how it was when I got into boxing. I think I was like 12 or 13. But when I first got into boxing, I did so much research on it. And yeah, you just want to learn more. He retired against A-level. Yeah, that's true. Ali, he should have never fought them, though. Like, he should have never been fighting them. But, he wanted to, I don't know. I guess he still felt like he needed to prove something. He wanted to be a 4-time champion. Yes, he wanted to be Larry Holmes. That would have made him a 4-time heavyweight champion. That's what we want to see. Wilder and WBC do fighting every good fighter. All Tyson, Holyfield, Pacquiao, the rest. What? Yeah, I want to see Wilder fight everybody too. I want to see Wilder fight Dillian White. I want to see him fight Anthony Joshua. I want to see him fight Andy Ruiz Jr. But, I also wanted to see him fight Vladimir Klitschko. I wish he would have fought him. That would have been a good fight for him. But it never happened. So what can we do, really? Just accept it and move on. I'm curious to know when Deontay Wilder's going to announce that he's fighting Luis Ortiz, if he's still going to be fighting him. Or maybe he's really not going to be fighting him. Maybe he's going to be trying to get because I told you guys it's kind of suspect and suspicious that he's not announcing his next opponent, even though he said it was going to be Luis Ortiz rematch. And I said that maybe it's because he was trying to get a unification fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. because that's an easy fight that could be made because obviously they're both on PBC. And also even the presidents of the WBA and the WBC are trying to get together to make that fight happen. And now the fact that I'm seeing Wilder coming out saying, listen, man, I really want to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. That fight's looking closer and closer. I'm getting the impression that maybe he's not announcing the Luis Ortiz rematch right away because he's trying to secretly negotiate a unification fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. Because when it comes to Wilder, he doesn't like, you know how he says he likes surprising the fans. He likes coming out of nowhere. He doesn't like things being out in the public. So when Wilder announces a fight, it's always like behind the scenes and shit. So maybe they're just doing that. Maybe they're just waiting to see, to try and get that fight happen. What the fuck, is it raining? All right. So hopefully they fight. But I have a feeling that Andy Ruiz Jr. is going to go on and just fight Anthony Joshua. I'm not mad at that fight. I just hope that Anthony Joshua learned his lesson. Because if he doesn't, he's going to lose again. And it's going to be bad, So, I mean, not to say his career is going to be over or anything, but I think he needs to get his vindication. I think he does have the ability to beat Andy Ruiz Jr. Because he has the ability to hurt him. He has the ability to drop him. He just has to you know, be careful and be more mindful and be more patient. And I think he has to approach it differently. He has to play the boxer. I think Andy Ruiz Jr. Should take Anthony Joshua extra serious in the rematch, because I think Anthony Joshua is going to come in the rematch extremely motivated to try and dethrone Andy Ruiz Jr. So I think Andy Ruiz needs to be very serious in the rematch, because I don't think Joshua's going to be playing around. So, the last thing he needs to do is overlook Joshua in the rematch. So we're going to have to wait and see. Wilder should have fought Joseph Parker, Povetkin, Takam, Chisora, Big Baby, Jarrell Miller, Dillian White. Come, fellas. Wilder has 40 plus. Yeah. Well, the best guys in his resume is what's his name? Luis Ortiz. And matter of fact, the best guy in his resume is Tyson Fury, not Luis Ortiz. Because I've always told people this. I've never really been a fan of Luis Ortiz's resume. I think he has an overrated resume. And I think a lot of people overhype him. But when it comes to Tyson Fury, I know he's really good. I know he's been fighting shit opposition recently. I know he's been fighting those bums like a freaking Tom Schwartz and Pianetta and whoever else he fought. But he's a legit talent, Tyson Fury. So I give Wilder a lot of credit for getting in the ring with Tyson Fury. I know a lot of people say that Tyson Fury was inactive, he hadn't fought. Yes, but he's a very dangerous, extremely talented. I know he's not a big puncher, but he's extremely talented and gifted. And the fact that Wilder fought him, that I was happy that he fought him. By now, Wilder should have fought all those guys by now, right? Who has? Yeah, I know he should have. You're right about that, but he didn't. What can you do? All right, guys, I'm gonna end the stream right now. For anyone who came through and watched it, I really do appreciate it. And I'm out. Bye.